blessing of intimacy. And sometimes they just need the proper guidance. And that couple, especially if it's a more sheltered couple, they're not so familiar exactly how things are supposed to be carried out. Sometimes that's the reason why there's infertility. Sometimes it's psychological, and there's intimacy is a problem, and therefore, if the woman isn't allowing the husband to enter, so perhaps IUI would be a way to have the woman get pregnant even without a formal act of intercourse. Sometimes neither complications in sperm donation, which is beyond the scope of this evening's talk, but IUI it was the next step. If that doesn't work, so we know about Louise Brown, we know about the test tube baby, the first test tube baby who was born in 1978, and that's IVF. IVF is when you take the eggs from the ovary and you combine it, fertilize the egg with the husband's sperm, and you make an embryo. In the lab, you take that embryo and you implant it back into the uterus, and you hope that it will implant. I just want to share with you a few halachic issues because I know the time is running out. I just want to just share with you potential halachic issues that couples who are going through these issues, whether it's the early ovulation, but really more precisely the IUI, the inseminations, the IVF, other fertility treatments. What are the common shilas? What are the common questions that they're asking the rabbis, that they're wondering that halacha may present some type of conflict? Pru is a couple who conceives a baby not through normal natural intercourse, but rather in a test tube, where the eggs are extracted, harvested from the woman, and combined in the lab with sperm, which was procured. However the sperm was procured, we'll talk about that in a moment. And then the baby is subsequently implanted, the embryo is subsequently implanted in the uterus, so there was no formal intercourse. And yet the woman has a baby. Is the husband Makayim, does he fulfill his mitzvah of Pruruvu? Could one argue that Pruruvu is actually contingent on a formal act of intercourse? The second, I touched it. The second question, Yuchsin.
Okay, yeah.
Yuchsin. What does Yuchsin mean? Is the child considered the child of this father? Generally, we would assume that the child is the child of the mother because she gave birth to the baby. But the husband didn't, he gave his sperm, but again, the sperm created the baby outside of this, of the normal realm of intercourse. The Gemara discusses, how do we know that a father is someone's father? How do we know that our father is our father? We know that our mother is our mother because she gave birth. There are witnesses in the hospital room, in the delivery room. There are witnesses that this baby came from this woman. But how are we supposed to know that the father is the father? The Gemara says maybe if they're locked up in a jail cell together for 9 months and they went in, she went in with it and she wasn't pregnant. And the husband and wife were in a jail cell together and 9 months later then she had a baby. So maybe then we'll be able to know with certainty that the father is the father. You know what the Gemara answers? Ein apotropos la'arayos, which means that when it comes to this world of arayos, when it comes to this world of this inappropriate world out there, we can never be too sure of anything, even if they're locked up in jail. And the Gemara concludes that we really never know that a father is a father. It sounds kind of strange. I have children, I presume that they think that I'm their father, and I am their father, so what's going on over here? So the Gemara says there is a chazaka. There is a halachic principle which allows us to assume that a father is a father, and what is that principle called? Rov be'ilos achar bal, that when a woman has relations with her husband, the chances are the father is the father. But that whole principle is based on the fact that there is actual intercourse. Once the baby is being produced without actual intercourse, maybe you don't have this chazaka, this whole principle of rov be'ilos achar bal, and there's a big question whether the father is actually considered the father. Pikuach hilchati, how do we know with certainty that the semen sample wasn't mixed up with another semen sample, that the embryo wasn't put it back into the other woman's body? I have later in the slides, and I don't know if we're going to get there, but I have later in the slides the copies of the front page of different New York Times and other newspapers, IVF mix-ups, and horrific stories of what they thought at the time generous fertility specialist, when he would get the sample of someone's sperm and he thought that it was subpar, so he would be so generous to give his own sperm, and then generate, and then years later when people are doing paternity tests, 17, 18, 19 children all draw their same father back to that one lab in Minneapolis, and these things could happen. So is that a problem with halacha? Is it a problem that maybe we should have some type of supervision set up in the lab? In fact, Pua was because of this, many Rabbanim, when IVF began 40 years ago, so there many Rabbanim came out against it. They said that they don't want people doing IVF because they were so concerned of this potential mix-up, to which Pua's whole philosophy is that we have to try to find a way to help people within the framework of halacha, and Pua came up with this idea that if we have supervisors, just like we have supervision, a mashgiach in the restaurant to make sure that the food is kosher, we should have a mashgiach in the laboratory to make sure the baby is kosher. And that's in fact what we have today. We have over 90 labs in the United States that we work with, and really throughout the world, where we have supervisors. We have 60 plus supervisors on staff that go all around the United States to go to the fertility labs to watch to make sure everything is done correctly. We're very careful that a man shouldn't masturbate, shouldn't waste his seed, and yet you have a doctor coming and telling him, okay, I see, next step we have to do a semen analysis. We need the sperm. People call with questions all the time. How are we supposed to procure the sample? What is the most halachically preferred method? Are we allowed to do fertility treatments before a woman goes to mikvah? That's a common question. We know that if a couple has relations while she's a nida, so that's a problem. And the Gemara even says negative things about the babies who were born from a couple who did not observe the laws of nida. So there have many people who ask, are they allowed to take an insemination during nidus? Because maybe, even though there's no formal contact, but perhaps the fertilization and the conception during nidus is a problem. Every 7 days, there's something called Shabbos. And Shabbos, right, doesn't go away. Every week we have Shabbos. And very often when a woman has fertility treatments, she takes more than 7 weeks in preparation. She has injectables, she takes shots, she needs blood work, monitoring. Shabbos can get in the way, and especially this week I have calls every day now, every single day, multiple times a day. This week, why? Because in this week I don't have Shabbos. We have Shabbos is Shabbos, we have Sunday is Shavuos, and Monday Shavuos. That means we have 3 days coming up where people who are cycling now, their doctors want blood work, their doctors want injectables, and if on a typical week, if you try to get your monitoring done Friday, and then you can get your monitoring done Sunday, so then you can avoid the Shabbos issue. But a week like this week, people are calling because even if they go in on Friday, their doctor's saying, yeah, but we don't want to hyperstimulate you. We need to make sure that everything is going to be safe. So therefore, you have to do either monitoring on Shabbos or Sunday or definitely Monday. And the callers are calling. I'm telling you, my phone is off the hook because what are we supposed to do? It's Shavuos, it's Yom Tov. How am I supposed to get to the doctor? How am I supposed to get to the fertility lab for monitoring on Shabbos and Yom Tov? And then there are some other issues about third party fertility, sperm donation, egg donation, and surrogacy, which we get calls about this all the time. If a woman is taking an egg donor, which Baruch Hashem we have the technology to allow for egg donation, but it has to be done with the haskama, with the guidance of a rav, to make sure that they're getting the right eggs, they're getting Jewish eggs or non-Jewish eggs, depending on who you ask. It's a complicated topic, and the same thing is true with surrogacy, based on who is the mother. Is the mother the birth mother? Is the mother the egg mother? So depending on how you answer that question, that's going to govern whether the eggs that you should be getting are from Jews or from non-Jews. Is the surrogate supposed to be a Jewish surrogate or a non-Jewish surrogate? And are there any problems with mamzerus? If the egg mother is really the mother and it's a Jewish mother, and we take the egg from this Jewish woman who's married, and then you implant it, you fertilize it with the husband's, this couple's who is unable to have children, you fertilize it with their sperm and implant it into his wife, but again, it's coming from that married woman. Is that a problem of mamzerus? Is that a problem of like having some type of relations with a married woman, which would then present a mamzer, chas v'shalom? I'm not going to pass in any of these shalos tonight. That's beyond the scope of this evening's event, but I just wanted to inform you, and I wanted to present the myriad of issues, so many different issues that people are dealing with infertility, must ask and must navigate the halachic system to make sure that they're doing everything properly, and I love it. I get so many calls even from people who are irreligious. They're not Shomer Shabbos, they're not Shomer Kashrus, but when it comes to fertility, they say, I want to do everything right. I want a Jewish baby, I want a kosher baby, I'm not willing to do anything, I'm not willing to do one kula, I want all the chumras, I want to do everything 100% kedasu, kedin, with the guidance of the rabbi, and I really applaud so many people for their dedication to the Jewish faith and to the Jewish lineage. But I think we should all be sensitive to the fact that there are so many different issues, and it's, Baruch Hashem, I'm a little biased, I'm a little nogeya, but Baruch Hashem, there are organizations such as PUA that we're available. We take phone calls every single day. We have brochures in my business card outside. We take calls every single day from callers, really from across the world, who are calling every single day for guidance, for help, for the services that we offer to help them really go from a childless couple, someone who's really broken. Baruch Hashem, we hear good news every day of babies that are born. And thank you very much for listening. Be'ezus Hashem, our awareness and learning together should be a schus for all those couples to have children. Be'ezus Hashem. Everyone have a good Shabbos and a good Yantif.